neither strength nor helper.
وَالسَّمَاءِ ذَاتِ الرَّجْعِ.
I swear by the rain-giving heavens,
وَالْأَرْضِ ذَاتِ الصَّدْعِ.
and the earth splitting.
إِنَّهُ لَقَوْلٌ فَصْلٌ.
Most surely it is a decisive word,
وَمَا هُوَ بِالْهَزْلِ.
and it is no joke.
إِنَّهُ يَكِيدُونَ كَيْدًا.
Surely they will make a scheme,
وَأَكِيدُ كَيْدًا.
and I too will make a scheme.
فَمَهِّلِ الْكَافِرِينَ أَمْهِلْهُمْ رُوَيْدًا.
So grant the unbelievers a respite, let them alone for a while.
صدق الله العلي العظيم.
صلوات. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. Can I just check, Maulana, are you with us?
Yes, I am.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
Assalamu
Alaikum.
Okay, now we are very lucky to have Maulana Ali Raza Rizvi with us. We've known Maulana, well, I've known him for about 20 years, obviously you were born. Actually, one of the reasons we named Ali Raza was because of Maulana Ali Raza. You were with Maulana on our ziyarah to Iran when we were choosing your name. I'm going to give a brief introduction because I realized that people want to know a little bit more about the Maulanas. And I've asked Maulana a few questions, and he's told us a few interesting things about his biography. He was born in Birmingham. He has lived in England, and he's lived in Pakistan, and he's lived in Qum. But he's actually quite a global Maulana. He's been to every single. Is it true you've been to every single continent on Earth?
Except for South America.
Except for South America. So he's even been to Lord of the Rings, New Zealand country?
Yes, I have.
He's been to more countries than me because he has to go around delivering lectures. But he went to high school and school in Birmingham, in Small Heath. And then he's traveled for further studies in Qum to do advanced Islamic studies. And he's done lecturing all over the world on various different topics. And he's written some books as well. Which were the topic of the books that you've written?
I've translated Kitab al-Tawhid of Sheikh Saduq, which are lectures and a hadith of the Imams alayhim salam on the oneness of God, Introduction to Islam, Principles of Faith, the Broken Bead on Hazrat Fatima Zahra.
And you've also written a book about Imam Mahdi, you said?
Imam, yes.
MashaAllah. So you've written lots of books, but also the other side of you, I asked a few questions like, what is Maulana's favorite food? He couldn't answer the question because he likes all the food, like you, Zan. But I told Zan that you also, I asked you if you like playing computer games, and Zan said, Maulanas don't play computer games. But your answer was that you actually has played so many computer games, he doesn't remember which one is his favorite. He likes games. And your favorite things to do is to go out in nature, to see rivers. You like water, waterfalls, rivers, the sea. Do you actually swim in the sea as well when you visit the sea?
If there are not many people there, then I do love to swim.
There you go. You can also swim. All right, so that's enough of it. Any more questions for Maulana in terms of his background, computer games, gaming? No. Okay, so I think we've answered all the introductions that we wanted to do. So thank you very much for joining us. For everybody who's listening, just before we start, if you do have any questions, I'd like you to post them into the chat box. But if you can wait, it's 4:15 as we're going to get going. And if you can wait until about 4:30 before you start posting your questions, and then we'll collect them and answer them at the break around 4:45. So over to you, Maulana Sahab. Thank you very much.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والعاقبة لأهل التقوى واليقين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين خاتم النبيين بالقاسم محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وآله الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين لا سيما بقية الله في الأرضين روحي وأرواح العالمين للتراب مقدمه الفداء واللعنة الدائمة على أعدائهم أجمعين من الآن إلى قيام يوم الدين. أما بعد السلام عليكم جميعا ورحمة الله.
وعليكم السلام.
MashaAllah, a beautiful recitation of the Holy Quran, Surah Tariq, which is also about the Day of Judgment. I will try and simplify the whole topic as much as I can. When we say adl or adalat, what we mean is divine justice or the justice of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And no Muslims or even non-Muslims ever believe that God is not just, but the definitions of justice may vary between the different groups or different denominations or different religions. However, we all believe that God is just, and there may arise many questions when we say that he is just. Now, in the Holy Quran, it talks about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala يحكم بالعدل وقسط. Qist and adl are both synonyms in Arabic, and this term has appeared in the Holy Quran that Allah is Adil or he is Rahman, Rahim in different terms. And why do we mention that he is the Adl of Allah rather than any other attributes of God in our usul al-din? So we believe in principles of faith. All Muslims agree upon three: Tawheed, which is the divine unity, oneness of God. And second is Risalat, messengership of God, that Allah sent many, many messengers, 124,000 prophets, and out of which 313 were his messengers. And then the day of judgment, that we will all be resurrected after our death on the day of judgment to be judged and then sent to hell or heaven. Now, these three are principles of faith that all Muslims believe in. But there are two other principles that the followers of Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam mention as a part of their usul al-din. One is divine justice and the other is imamat. Now, imamat is the continuation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's message. But because there are Muslims who deny it, that's why we mention it as a part of our usul al-din. Otherwise, we, the Shias, believe that imams are chosen just like the prophets and the messengers by God. They are divine. So that's why we call imamat as divine leadership, meaning God chose them. They are not chosen by people. Likewise, attributes of God. So this is a complicated topic, but just if very briefly, I'd have to outline to all of my listeners because they're a young audience. We believe as the followers of Ahlul Bayt, and there are logical reasoning for it. Can you all hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So we believe as a part of our faith that attributes of God are a part of his essence. Essence, when we say, is the existence of God. Now, God does not have a body or a shape or color or texture, or he is not a physical entity. He is not a physical being, but he is intangible. You cannot touch him or taste him or smell him. So he is not in two dimensions. He is not a mass or volume. He does not have a movement. So all of these things, movement and volume, these are limitations because all of these are into time and space. These two terms, inshallah, remember them. Time and space. Zaman and Makan. In Arabic, Farsi, Urdu, we use these two terms. Zaman and Makan. That's why we say Imam is Zaman. Time and space, the Imam of our time. Allah is out of time and space. He is the creator of time and space. And time and space bring you into limitations. They bring you into, God is infinity, so he is out of time and space. So he has no motion, no movement, no motion, no sukoon. He is not still or moving, because movement and stillness are limitations. They're limited. I don't want to become too philosophical and too scientific, but you'll have to all pay attention. So therefore, All of his attributes are a part of his essence. All of his attributes, just remember this one sentence, memorize it. Attributes of God are a part of his essence. His essence are not, his attributes are not other than his essence. Now, when we say all of his attributes are a part of his essence, he is at the same time Rahman, meaning he is merciful, Qahhar, he punishes the evildoers, and he is just, and so all of those are a part of his essence, all of his attributes. And no emotions ever occur on him. You know, when we say he's pleased, God will be pleased with you, or he'll be angry with you. He has no feelings. For example, I show my feelings, for example, pleasure and pain and happiness and, grief through my expressions, through my body. God has no body to express his emotions, okay? So he doesn't, his pleasure is his reward. When he's pleased, meaning he rewards you for it. When he is angry, meaning he punishes someone for it. So any evildoer he punishes because of their evil deeds, and therefore he is beyond, he is above feelings, and nothing occurs on him. Just, he is not mahalli hawadith, in Arabic they call it. So mahalli hawadith means no occurrences take place on him. Nothing happens to him. So he does not go through changes because he is out of time and space. Now, we mention adalat because there are Muslims who give a wrong definition of justice. Everyone with me so far?
Yes.
Yes, Mawlana.
Just like imamat, many Muslims deny. That's why we mention it in our Usuluddin. Just likewise, we mention adalat and the divine justice in our Usuluddin because there are Muslims who mistook or misunderstood divine justice. So many Muslims say whatever God does is just. That's their definition of justice. They believe that whatever God does, so he can decide that he is going to place Pharaoh in paradise, and that will be justice. And he can, astaghfirullah, place Moses in hellfire, and that will be justice because whatever God does is just. The Shia definition, our definition, the followers of Ahlul Bayt, our definition is no. God only does that which is just. So it is not because he decides to do whatever he does not order us to be just and go against it himself. So he's ordered us, all of us, to be just, and therefore he will be just himself as well. And the definition that we understand is the definition that he has given us. The understanding we have of justice is the definition he has given to us in our minds. And therefore, we are not telling him to be just like we understand, but we are going to be just the way he has given us understanding, and therefore he will also follow it. Now, why did this whole debate start in the Muslims? Because many Muslims believe that we should not say bad to the evil people. We should just be quiet and accept everyone. Like Yazid, you cannot say Yazid is evil and he's bad. And obviously it went back to other people. Therefore, they said, don't say evil and bad to anyone, because they believed in some of those evil people to be good. And therefore, they said, just don't say anything evil to anyone. And it is upon God to decide who is good and evil. Even if someone is good, God can punish him. And even if someone is evil, God can reward him. Now, I will go into it a little bit more, but without confusing you. So what I want to do is lay foundations. The Shias believe that there is logical basis or intellectual basis of good and evil. These two terms, remember, good and evil. In Arabic, good is called husn. You will remember Imam Hassan and Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Their names are from husn. Husn means good. In Urdu, husn means beauty. Also in Arabic, it can mean beauty, but literally it means good. Husn and qubh. Qubh. Qaf like Quran, qubh. Ba and ha. Ha, you know, the strong gene, ha, that one, ha. Husn, like same as husn. Husn and qubh, aqliyan. Husn, good. Qubh means evil. So these two terms, inshallah, you'll remember from today's lesson. I've given you a lot of terminology, but you're all very young, and all young people have very good memory, and therefore you will all memorize all of these terms. Okay? Now, husn qubh, good and evil. These are two terms. All people believe in good and evil. What is good and what is evil? You may have a difference of opinion. So pleasure and pain. Some say pleasure is good and pain is evil. That's one definition. Desirable and undesirable. You know, so there may be many, many different definitions of good and evil. Now, praisable, commendable, and denounceable, you know, unpraisable. So something which is praisable is good, and something which is not praiseworthy or something which is condemnable is evil. So there are all of these different definitions out there. This is very intellectual, but I'm trying to simplify it, and I hope I'm not confusing you and not making it difficult.
Is Malana confusing?
No.
So the Shias believe that there are logical bases or intellectual bases of good and evil. So even if no prophet or no imam was sent by God, we would still be able to understand through our intellect, through our logic, certain things are good and certain things are evil. Can I ask a few questions? And inshallah, you'll all answer yes or no. So is truth, telling truth, is it good or evil? Yes or no?
Good.
What?
Telling the truth is good. Yes. Okay. I'm getting a few answers. Telling lies, is it good or evil?
Not always. Because if you have a friend that has, like, if broken something, if you just tell the truth, you tell the truth on purpose so that they get told off and
Very good.
get punished, it would be bad.
Very good. Very good. I was going to go next into that. Okay. Now, everyone will say telling the truth is good, telling lies is evil, but not always. Likewise, you will say, for example, stealing is evil or good?
Evil.
Evil.
Stealing is evil. Okay.
But
Robbing people is evil. Murder is good or evil?
if it's to save other people,
Let's do it.
but
Okay, very good. That's what I'm trying to do. Okay. So you'll have a list of things that we will all define as good or evil. So we have logical basis of good and evil. Everyone will have some sort of logic or intellectual debate that this is good and this is evil. Okay. Now, our definition of good and evil may change based on circumstances. For example, just my little friend, my brother, my son, my nephew, whatever you want to call him, he said, telling the truth is good, but it can be evil at times, because if you're getting someone in trouble, for example, a person says, two brothers were about to become friends again, and I went and told the truth and they started fighting. Is that truth good or evil?
It's good.
This truth is not good because this truth made people fight. For example, a person says, I went and told the truth, and a war happened because of my truth. No one is gonna, well, a lot of people will say, okay, it's fine, it's truth though. But many people will say this kind of truth is not good. Likewise, a person says, if I had not lied, people would have started fighting, so I lied. So, you know, taqiyya and sometimes lie can be good to save lives, to save someone's fight, or, you know, to save a household. Anyway, so there can be different bases of good and evil, you know, like there are logical bases of good and evil, but sometimes, let me tell you a story and make it easy. A person went on a train journey and he had 4 children. And this is probably a true story, but let's listen to it like a story, not truth. But anyway, so this person had 4 children. He went on a train, and his children were very naughty, and he was, you know, traveling in a country like India, Pakistan, somewhere there, you know, a passenger train, so which had many passengers. And so the people had, you know, could all see each other. And the children were very naughty. And one of his children went on to, you know, like a person was eating food, and, you know, like the children, one of his sons was pulling the tray from the person who was eating food. The other one, he went on to grab the newspaper from someone. And one of his children, you know, was taking the glasses off one of the guys. And so everyone started becoming annoyed with his children. And they were thinking, what sort of a father is he? He's not even stopping his children. And his children are so naughty. And one of the guys got up and he said, what kind of a father are you? You're not stopping your children. They're all being naughty to everyone. They're messing about in the train. So the man had tears in his eyes and he said, my wife has died and these are my children, and I want to give them the bad news that their mother has died, but I'm not. So, you know, I'm going to give them a bad news, so I'm not telling them off at the moment. So when that man heard the father of those children that, you know, the mother of those children has died, he went and told everyone. And all the people who were annoyed with those children, they started having special feelings for those children. Oh, these children, you know, they've just lost their mother. Everyone's attitude towards the children changed, and everyone's perception of the father changed. They all started feeling sorry for the father and the children. You see, when you know, when your knowledge about certain things change, then your concept of things change. So everyone may define good and evil differently. For example, everyone agreed that stealing is evil. But if a person came and said, my children were about to die of hunger, and I only stole 1 loaf of bread just to feed my children, a lot of the people, their definition may change. They all believe that stealing is evil, but they say, well, he only stole a loaf of bread to feed his children. So many people may think this stealing is not evil, or it's not so evil because he was only trying to save the life of his children. Now, where am I going with this? So please now pay attention. The definition of good and evil may change based on the circumstances. So we will all agree on the basic notion of good and evil. The truth is good. Being honest is good. Helping people is good. You know, like all of those good things. And then evil deeds, for example, murder is evil, theft is evil, lying is evil. But when circumstances change, our definitions may change. But 2 things will always remain the same. Only 2 things. The definition at all times, in all circumstances, will always be by people of faith and by people of no faith. So people of faith like Jews, Christians, Muslims, and other faiths. And people without a faith, atheists, and anyone, will always be the same. 2 things. Everyone will define them as same. Justice will always be good, and injustice or oppression will always be evil. So these 2 things, in Arabic we call them Adl and dhulm. Adl will always be husn or good, and dhulm will always be evil or qubh, qabih. So hasan and qabih. So justice will always be good, and injustice or oppression, dhulm, will always be evil. That's why in our usul al-din we believe that adalat, divine justice, adl or adalat is in usul al-din, and Allah is adil. He'll never ever oppress anyone. He will never be unjust or to anyone. He will always be adil or rahman. Now, we believe that anything which is just, Allah will do, and any oppression, Allah will never do. وَمَا رَبُّكَ بِظَلَّامٍ لِلْعَبِيدِ. The Holy Quran says to the Holy Prophet ﷺ, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, O my messenger, وَمَا رَبُّكَ بِظَلَّامٍ لِلْعَبِيدِ. O my messenger, your Lord will never oppress his servants. He will never ever oppress his creation. So Allah will never do injustice, or he will never oppress his people. So he can never ever punish a good person. He will never ever place Hazrat Musa alayhi salam, or any other prophets or imam or any good doers in hellfire. Never he will do that. So we should always remember that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is just. He will never punish a good doer. And that is called adl of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So these two terms I've explained. Another two terms that I very quickly want to explain. One is wa'ad, one is wa'id. Wa'ad, promise of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and wa'id. So when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala promises to reward you, he will always give you the reward that he's promised. So he promises to reward, and then he sometimes promises to punish. But when he promises to punish, he may forgive because he's all merciful. But if he punishes, it will be because of his justice. He will never ever oppress. He will never ever oppress any of his servants. Even the evildoers he will never oppress. Even Yazid he will not oppress. He will only and only punish Yazid as much as he deserves to be punished. That's why we believe that God is just, and we mention the justice or adalat or divine justice in our usul al-din, that he only punishes the evildoers, and he will only and only punish them based on their evil deeds. So for example, Saddam deserves punishment. He will only punish him for killing 2.7 million people based on American figures. I don't know. Others are claiming that he killed more people. Anyway, I don't care how many he killed. I believe that he's going to be punished. Well, for example, Hitler will be punished for killing millions of people. For example, all evildoers will be punished for their evil deeds, but Allah will not punish them for more than what they deserve. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will punish hum fiha khalidun. They will always remain in hellfire. Now, where is the justice of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? And I have another 5 minutes. Can I continue? Now, look at the definitions of the good and evil. So we believe Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for example, if a person does, Saddam was hanged just before his 70th birthday. Hitler was in his 50s or 60s when he shot himself. So he committed sins for 60 years, let's say, 50 years. Saddam for 60 years, 55 years, let's say. 45 years, he committed sins, atrocities, oppression. And he will be in hellfire forever and ever. Imam Hussain al-Islam, when he was killed, he was only 57. He will be in the paradise forever and ever. Okay, we can understand people going to the paradise, they will be there forever. That's mercy of God. But what about the people who lived only for 50, 45, 55, 65 years, 75 years? 85 years, and they committed sins, but they will not be in the hellfire for 85 years. They will be in hell forever and ever. So the people going to the paradise, they're there forever because of God's mercy. But what about the people in hellfire? Where is God's justice then? The people going to the hell. Okay, some people after some punishment may come out of hellfire because they've been punished for their sins. But some people will be there forever. Someone like Saddam, someone like Yazid, someone like Hitler, they only live for 65 years. Yazid for 37 years, Saddam for 69 years, and then they died or killed or whatever happened to them. Yes, they only live for a short life, but had they lived for a longer period, had Saddam 100 years or 1,000 years or 1,000,000 years, he would have continued all of his evil deeds and killing of the people forever, for the 1,000,000 years. So God gave him a chance to prove that he can repent and come back to God, then God may forgive. But if a person says, I will continue, if a person continues for however long they live, then they deserve to be punished for however long they live. So the hereafter is eternity, forever, and therefore the people who commit sins all their lives, if God, the Holy Quran says, Allah says in the Holy Quran, that if God, the people who do evil deeds, Allah says, if I gave them a chance again in this world, they will say after their death, oh God, give me one more chance. I promise you I will be good this time. Allah says, if I give them, no matter how many chances I send them back, they will repeat exactly everything they have done in the previous life. Therefore, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not keep giving chances over and over again. Well, he does in this life. He gives you chances and chances and chances. But then once a person dies, then Allah says punishment forever, because you would have repeated every sin that you did in the first instance, and therefore the punishment is forever. Now, many will go to the hellfire, and after some years they may be forgiven, but some will always remain in hellfire. And those will be the most evil people that have ever lived on the surface of the earth. Therefore, the punishment for them will continue forever. But there may be people who may be punished, and many people may be given a chance in the hereafter. For example, there are some hadiths that say some people will say to God, oh God, I never found out about you. Had I known, I would have believed in you. I would have believed in your messenger, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I would have believed in the Imams, like Imam Ali, Imam Hassan, Imam Hussain alayhi wasallam, or Imam Mahdi. I would have believed in them, but I never found out. I never knew that they were good people. I never knew that you existed. Had I known, I would have believed. So why should I go to hell? When all of these people complain to God, when they are being taken to the hellfire, they will complain. And God will say, okay, Allah will say, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, all of you jump in the hellfire. Some will jump in the hellfire. The others will say, why? Why should we jump in the hellfire? We never knew about you. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will say to the angels, all the ones who jumped in the hellfire, place them in heaven. And all the ones who did not jump in the hellfire after my orders, push them in the hellfire. They will say, why should we be pushed in the hellfire? We never found out about you in the dunya. Allah will say, now you all knew that I'm God, I'm Allah. The ones who obeyed me here in the, on the day of judgment, had they known about me in the dunya, in that world, they would have obeyed me there as well. And the ones who have disobeyed me now, they would have disobeyed me in that world. So therefore, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give a chance to the ones who don't know about him in the hereafter. They will all get a chance to believe or disbelieve or obey or not obey. And then they will be decided to be sent to heaven or hell in the hereafter. So you can ask now questions. If someone can just read out the questions, because I'm
Another
actually
question, please.
okay. So there are questions coming in. People
Yeah.
have written.
Question from Zenat Jaffer Merchant Facebook. The trend
As the
as the trend is on nowadays, kids making gaming channel. I am personally against. Please, Maulana Sahib, give us an answer to kids in light of Islam. Are we allowed to create a gaming channel on YouTube?
Are we allowed to create a game?
gaming channel.
Yes, we are.
Show gaming, to show themselves playing games, and it's a big trend for children to make videos on YouTube to show themselves playing games.
Yeah, we are allowed. It's not haram. It's not forbidden.
Okay.
So long as you don't expose yourself too much. For example, anything that can threaten your life or put you in danger or make enemies or causing disrespect or causing racism, disrespecting others, these are not permissible. But anything just, sharing your own personal videos with your own families and friends, that's fine. So you are not allowed to put your life in danger, for example, or disrespecting others. That you're not allowed.
We have another question. So all the fighting in Yemen and Syria and Iraq, lots of people have been hurt from the bombing and the lack of food and water. Is that God's justice for people to suffer in Yemen?
Okay, very good question. Now, there are many people dying in Africa and
Coronavirus.
Many people are dying of hunger. So there are so many people dying. So is that justice of God? Okay. The Holy Quran says, I'm going to try and simplify it because it's very complicated and these are very deep philosophical, topics. Shaykh Musa Mutahari and Allama Tabatabai have gone very deep into these things. I'm going to try and very simply answer these questions. It's very important that we all pay attention, all of my children. Now, the Holy Quran says, ظهر الفساد في البر والبحر بما كسبت أيدي الناس. All the corruption on the surface of the earth and in the oceans is due to mankind. All the corruption that you see on the surface of the earth and in the oceans. So ظهر الفساد في البر والبحر بما كسبت أيدي الناس. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala very clearly says that all the corruption that you see on the surface of the earth and in the oceans, not only just the surface of the earth. Ya Allah, we don't even live in the oceans. Is it not the sharks or the whales or some of the other, animals, creatures that live in the oceans or in the sea, or probably the crocodiles or the wolves, probably some of the other animals? Allah says, no, all of them follow the nature. It is only the human beings that corrupt everything. So there are certain sins that we do that cause all of these. So it is not Allah killing the people in Yemen or in Syria. It is other human beings who are creating wars. They are killing. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not. So it is not Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala causing the wars. Even all the, there are traditions, because there are children, I don't want to go into this hadith, but Imam Sadiq al-Islam says, when there are certain sins that occur on earth, and there are certain signs that come from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When people stop giving their dues to the poor people, amsakat zakat, when people stop giving zakat and their dues to the poor people, then amsakat al-matar, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala stops the rains and the drought comes. When the rich people stop the rights of the poor people. When you do not fulfill the rights, justice, when hukam, the rulers, are not fulfilling the rights of their people, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for example, the animals start dying. There was fire and the animals started dying. When people are corrupt in their characters, zina occurs, then the hadith say many earthquakes come. So all of those natural disasters occur because of certain sins that we're doing. Then there is the question, then why some people are doing it. Why are the rest of the people suffering? So some hadith say that Hazrat Nuh alayhi salam asked a question, Ya Allah, not all of my people were sinful. Why did you punish everyone? He said, well, the sinful people because they were sinful, and the good people, they never stopped the evil people from doing the evil. And whenever certain things happen, there is a whole system. For example, if I start breaking the lights, I will not be the only person deprived of light. Even the people who have not broken the lights, even they will be deprived. So there is a whole philosophical debate here that I don't want to start, but it is some people who cause it, but everyone has to suffer. It was only few people who killed Imam Hussain alayhi salam, but everyone had to suffer from the deprived of Imam alayhi salam in occultation. So it was only few people who were killing the Imams, but the rest of the people just sat down and watched the Imams being killed. So Allah said, okay, now I will put my 12th Imam in occultation, so the people don't kill the 12th one. We are the ones causing it, not you necessarily, but there are others who are causing it, but we're all deprived. We're all suffering. And we will all suffer till we stop the others from doing. For example, we have to say, no, enough is enough. People should not be killed in Yemen. People should not be killed in Syria. But we don't care because things go on. Your children, but people like me, people like older people who are still paying taxes and say, oh, we don't care. The British government, when people started protesting and said, no, we do not wish for the British government to sell arms to Saudi Arabia so they don't bomb Yemen. There are no more places to be bombed in Yemen. Yemen was the poorest Arabian country. There was only one milk factory. Children, you dry milk for the children, little children. There was only one milk factory in the whole of Yemen. The Saudis have bombed the same milk factory 5 times.
Why do you think that is?
Because they have no more targets. So we must not. And who are selling the weapons? The Americans, the British, and the French. So Saudis cannot bomb Yemen if we are not selling weapons to them, arms. Now the court gave a judgment that the British cannot sell any arms to the Saudis because they are bombing Yemen.
Okay.
But last month, the British government decided again, they said, no, we are short on money, but we will sell because the Saudis are giving good money. We will sell more weapons.
Yeah.
So now the British government has said, okay, £3 billion deal. So 68 billion pounds of weapons they have sold to the Saudi government from oil-rich countries to bomb Yemen. So we are doing to cause it. Allah is not coming to bomb Yemenis. Now, so the whole debate on divine intervention. Shall I continue or shall I stop?
We've got 4 more questions for you.
Okay. So just
Okay.
can I quickly make a point? Okay, I'll come back. Divine intervention in my second part. So you can ask questions.
A question from Bakir Hassan Ali. Will it only be Muslims in heaven?
Okay. It will be all believers in God and people who even non-Muslims will get a chance in the hereafter to believe in God and then go to heaven or paradise. But mainly the people who believe in and do good, they will go to paradise. So it'll be mainly Muslims, but not only Muslims. There will be other people who have done good and who believed. They will also. So the people in the time of Hazrat Musa, Hazrat Dawood, Hazrat Isa, who believed in them, the prophets, they will also go to paradise.
Okay. Thank you. Next question, Aliwaza. Read out loud.
Which sins will stop us from going to heaven?
Sorry, I didn't.
Which sins will stop us from going to heaven?
Okay, which sins will stop us from going to heaven? I'll just count the sins which are concerning you. So the Holy Quran says certain sins, بغير حساب. People will go to hell without accountability. One of them is being disobedient to parents. So being disrespectful, being disobedient to parents will cause people to go to hell. And disbelief, murder. The Holy Quran says murder. Man qatala mu'minan muta'ammidan fajaza'uhu jahannam khalidan fiha. The Holy Quran says in Surah Nisa that anyone who kills a believer will end up in hellfire جزاؤه جهنم خالدا فيها, and he will remain there forever. So murder is one of the sins that causes us to go to hell. Okay, so there are many sins, but amongst them disobedience to parents and murder.
Another question from the same question. What if your upbringing was not good? Will you be punished?
Okay, if your parents made you, for example, a person said, well, my parents were thieves. I once, like interviewed a criminal. He was from prison, so I interviewed him. Well, not interviewed him, I just asked him a few questions. So the interview was, like there were a number of people there. And I said, how sure are you that you will not go back to the prison and not? He said, I was brought up by two parents who were criminals. And my mother taught me to steal at the age of 13, so I started very young. Shoplifting, and he said, I've done everything. I've done, armed crimes, I've done murder, I've done every, I don't want to say it in front of the children. So he said to me, I've done every crime. And I've seen, really, really bad prisons. But now I want to repent and I want to stop, because from very young age. So, even if your upbringing was really bad, you still have a conscience. And from inside you, continuously, your conscience will tell you, stop, don't murder, don't do. And no one can ever say to God, well, my conscience never told me to not kill. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will hold us accountable. Even if you had bad upbringing, you still have to answer to God for doing the evil deeds.
Okay.
Next question, Ali Raza.
Question: does a person go to hell if he kills a terrorist who causes harm to people?
Thank you.
Did you repeat the question? If you asked, did you hear me?
Did you hear me?
No, I didn't hear the question.
Oh.
When you're close to the mic, then I can't hear you.
Oh,
Now I can.
does a person go to hell if he kills a terrorist who causes harm to people?
Very good question. Now, if you look at the verse in the Holy Quran, it says, Man qatala mu'minan muta'ammidan. Anyone who kills a believer, a good doer, goes to hell. But if someone kills a terrorist, obviously don't take law into your own hand. Never ever take the law into your own hands. Don't say, I'm going to now take the law and start killing terrorists and the criminals. No, you can't do that. So you have to allow the court to decide. The court and the police decides who is punished and who is not. But killing a terrorist through law, obviously, if the law decides that this person is to be killed because they're a terrorist, then it is not an evil deed. It is then a punishment for the crime that they have committed, and not killing someone for no reason. Okay, killing someone for no reason and taking the law into your own hands, that may be punishment.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the last question.
We can start.
Okay, so do I go back to?
Yes.
Okay. I'll speak for another probably 10 minutes, and then you can start asking questions the final session.
Okay.
Okay. Now, what about divine intervention? In divine justice, divine intervention, I'll define it. There may be children who do not understand the word intervention. Divine intervention, when we say, for example, someone is doing evil deed, can Allah intervene? Can Allah stop? For example, if a wolf attacks a baby, can Allah stop the wolf from eating the baby? Allah can. He can intervene. Inna Allah ala kulli shay'in qadir. Allah has power over everything. And He sometimes does intervene, but not always. Only He knows when is the best time to intervene and when not to intervene. For example, could Allah stop Yazid and Shimr and all of those evil people from killing Imam Hussain? He could. But then why didn't He? There's a whole debate. Why doesn't He do certain things? Or why doesn't He not intervene? Is that justice? Yes. Allah has created a system. He does not stop from people He's given all of us free will. He has given us irada and ikhtiyar. So we have the intent, we make our own intentions. If I want to do good deed or evil deed, I have the free will. And then irada and ikhtiyar, and he's given the choice, so I do things with my own choice. But then in the hereafter, he punishes us for the evil deeds and he rewards us for those for the good deeds. So he can intervene, but he doesn't. He's created a system. Things happen. So the whole of this world, the things happen by themselves. But then he does intervene. When he does intervene, when he doesn't, that's up to Allah. He knows when to intervene and when not to. We must have patience and not complain. Why did he intervene there and why did he not intervene here? I'll give you one or two stories. I'm trying to simplify it as much as I can. Imam Masoom, Imam, I think Sadiq al-Islam has this riwayat, one of the Imams. So he says that luqmatan li luqmatin, or luqmatun li luqmatin. He said for a mosam, luqma is what you eat. What? You don't eat the full bread once. You break a part that you can easily chew and eat and swallow. So that is called luqma in Arabic. Also in Urdu and Farsi, we use the same word. We've all taken it from Arabic. It's called luqma. Luqma is a mosam. Mosam is a small piece that you put in the mouth, something that you can normally eat. For example, I usually pick up the date and put the whole of the date in my mouth because I can chew it all. But a small child will not be able to eat the whole date, so they will break and they will, so that is called luqma. So the Imam said, luqmatun li luqma. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made a law for every mosam, an eye for an eye, and whatever. So he said in Bani Israel, in olden times, there was a drought in the house. And a lady wanted to give milk to her baby, but her milk had dried because she did not have any food to eat. So she placed her baby on the ground and she was looking for food in the kitchen. And she was searching if there was anything left for her to eat so she could produce milk to feed the baby. And she found only a luqma, a small piece of food. She picked it up and she placed it in the mouth. Just as she was placing it in the mouth, a beggar came to the door and said, please feed me something, I'm dying. She took it out and gave it to the beggar. He said, okay, you can eat it, so you can survive. And as she fed it, she looked and turned around and looked, and the wolf had picked up her baby to eat. She ran and suddenly someone came and grabbed the wolf and took out the baby from the wolf's mouth and gave it to the lady. And she said, who are you? The person said, I'm an angel. He said, why did God send you to save my baby? He said, luqmatan li luqmatin. The luqma, the mosam you gave to that beggar, for that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saved your baby. So in our lives, for that's sadaqah, So in our lives, sometimes, ups and downs come, but then we sometimes do charity, we sometimes do good, and then divine intervention happens. And sometimes the divine intervention doesn't happen. So there are people who are much, much better than us, but they still went through trials. So when does it happen and when does it not happen? So hadith and ayat, the traditions of the Ahlul Bayt, they say that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala decides when it is a trial and when it is a tribulation. So trials and tribulations. So trials that we need to, these are trials, we need to accept. So this is a trial. Hussein Islam went through a trial, it wasn't a tribulation. And sometimes it's a tribulation. It is bala, ibtila, or punishment. So there are two types of things. So sometimes there are trials and sometimes there are punishments. So difficult times that we're going, sometimes we have caused it. And sometimes, no, we haven't caused it. It is a trial from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. for which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will reward us. Anything which is a trial, we will be rewarded for it. But anything which is a punishment, then again it's good because we've been punished for it in this world, and in the hereafter, we will be rewarded. So there are all of these things. Do I have another 5 minutes or something? And then you can ask questions.
Yes, that's fine.
Okay, so I'll allow you to ask questions in 5 minutes. And then, because I have so many lectures today, unfortunately, I did not see my timetable, and I have, I thought I would be able to do all of these lectures one after the other for another majlis, and then another television program. After these, all of the, the people think that you're at home. Maulana, you're at home, so why can't you do it? So, and I said, okay, I'll do it. And then you realize that, I've overdone it. So I've got 4, 5 tomorrow as well. So inshallah, if we all try and do justice. Now, divine justice means that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not give you a trial in this world without He gives you the capacity. The Holy Quran says, La yukallifullahu nafsan illa wus'aha. Allah does not try you before giving you the capacity. So if He gives you an illness, God forbid, or He gives you poverty, or anything He gives you, any difficulty in your life, it comes with capacity. So Allah gives you the strength first, and then He tries you. So He gives you the strength to bear the pain of that illness, and then He sends you the illness. And for any illness He sends you, it is a trial, and for that He will reward you. There is a hadith that says that if the people knew what reward there is for the illnesses that we go through, then people will never ever ask for the cure from those illnesses. These pandemics, these illnesses, all of these, sometimes they are punishments and sometimes those are trials. The Holy Prophet ﷺ says that any of my believers, if they go through a pandemic or a vaba or an illness, then it is a reward for them. It is a trial. It is rahmah because they believe in it. And any disbeliever who does not believe in Allah, does not believe in the Holy Prophet, whenever they have a pandemic or an illness or anything like that, it is a punishment because Allah wants to stop them from doing. Many people still don't learn. They see these pandemics and they see these punishments. They still never learn a lesson. They still think it's not for me. There is no lesson. So if you want to learn lessons, Allah sends you lessons throughout your life. Imam Ali alayhi salam says, Ma akthar al-ibar wa aqall al-i'tibar. There are so many lessons to learn from. Allah continuously sends you lessons to learn. To learn a lesson from every time you tip over or you drop or anything happens in your life, it's a lesson for you. Learn a lesson from all of those. Imam Ali says there are so many lessons to learn, but there are very few people who pick up the lessons, who learn. And he says the wise, the intelligent are the ones who learn lessons from other people's mistakes. So people who are intelligent, who are wise, they will look at other people and say, oh, he tripped, and I will not. I will not go that path because people are having accidents there. But Imam Ali says, but the people who are not wise, they don't learn until they go through, they go through the same problems. And then they learn after going through the same problem. And the worst are the ones, not that they don't learn from others, they don't even learn from themselves. They make a mistake and they repeat the same mistake. They keep repeating the same mistakes over and over again without learning any lessons. And that's when, you have to be wise to learn lessons from your own mistakes. And therefore, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is just. He will always give you lessons. He will always give you the reward, or He will always teach you those things to learn from. You can ask questions.
So before we invite more questions, as you think about them on the call, we got some questions to ask everybody listening. And if you can type in, what is the Arabic words for good and evil that Maulana asked us to learn. He asked us to learn 5 or 6 Arabic terms and remember one statement. So does anybody remember what is the Arabic word for good and evil?
Mustafa.
Very good.
What was it? Mujtaba Rizvi, well done. What did he say? What is the answer?
Yeah, Fatima.
No, what's the answer? Oh, what is the answer?
Oh, Hassan and Qub.
Hassan and Qub. Okay, good.
Very good. Many people are writing. MashaAllah, Zamin Mehdi Mauji, and many others. A number of people have written the answer. Yes, good is husn, and evil is
Qub.
Qub.
And there was, what is the word for time and place? Maulana?
yes.
What is
Time.
Zaman and Mazan.
No,
Zaman and Kaban.
no, nearly. Zaman is what?
Yes, very good. Someone has written Fatima.
Oh, here we go,
Ulama.
look. Fatima beat you to it.
Zaman and Makan.
Yes.
Ah,
And why
Zaman and Makan. Time and space.
are they important?
because they're time and space.
Yeah, but what was the relevant to divine justice?
Allah's out of
Is that right? Allah is
Sorry?
beyond. He said Allah is beyond time and space.
Very good. I'm so impressed. Is that there?
That's Zain. Yes.
Azan.
MashaAllah. Allah is beyond, MashaAllah. Others are also writing.
Good.
Allah is beyond time and space. He is the creator of time and space. He's out of time and space. Very good. I'm really pleased.
Now, this is the bonus question. If anyone gets this, Maulana said there's something. What is the connection between Allah's attributes and His essence? What was the sentence he asked us? Very specifically, he said, "Learn this one thing." Let's see. Oh, I can see people thinking, really thinking. I can see your brains moving. What did he say? Let's see if anyone is going to type the answer. No?
No.
Has anybody
Oh,
got
look,
it?
someone-
Very
attributes
good.
are part of His essence.
Excellent.
Yeah, 2 people did it at the same time.
Zamin and Mahdi
Mujtaba.
Marji. Okay.
And also Mujtaba.
Yeah, put your video cameras on if you can, because it'd be good to see who actually got that right. That was a very difficult thing. But what was the point of that? Why did he say that? What does that mean? The attributes of God are part of His essence. Anybody know?
Because
Hey, Mujtaba. Well remembered. Did you really remember that, or did Uncle Imran ask you to say that? Is he listening and taking notes? We can't hear you.
We remembered it.
Yes, well done.
MashaAllah. MashaAllah.
Well done.
Really pleased.
But what is the point behind that? The attributes of God are part of His essence. Mujtaba, do you remember?
It means that He is them. He is one with His.
Excellent. Excellent.
Good. And there was 2 more terms in Arabic you asked. I can't remember what they are now. There was good and evil, time and zaman, and there was it truth and justice?
Makan and Zaman, time and space.
yeah, we did that one.
There was one more.
There was one more. Injustice and
Yeah, and just
Adl and Zulm.
Adl and Zulm. Well remembered, Maulana.
look.
You get 10 points.
Zaman and Mehdi, they said as well.
Mauji, MashaAllah, wrote it.
Oh, did you? Oh, okay. Good. Excellent. All right, good. Is there any more questions from the audience for Maulana side before he has to leave on divine justice? Any questions?
no,
A lot of times parents tell their children off and the children get upset. They don't understand.
Yeah, everything's. We got 3.
Oh, okay. So sometimes I've heard in Majlis saying that children, the first experience of divine or justice is seeing how their parents decide or judge between them. How you have 4 daughters, mashallah, all teenage years, 5. How do you promote justice between your children?
Very good question. So you must make sure that when you're distributing that you're equally, and when you treat them, but then always remember that the Imams have said that up to the age of 7, you have to treat them in a certain way. And then from 7 to 14, they are to be treated differently. And then 14 plus, they are to. So now, unfortunately, what happens is once we become parents, We're always parents. So we treat them the same way from day one till they've become 21. But Imam Ali Islam says that up to the age of 7, they are your masters. So don't make them work. Don't say, do this, do that. But from the 7 till 14, you have to be really strict to them.
See?
And you treat them like your servants, meaning order them, say, do this, do that. So because that's the best age for them learning.
From
7 to 14 is the most important age. But then as soon as they become 14 and till 21, treat them like friends. Treat them like friends and your mates, like wazir. So as soon as they become 14, then you should take advice from them, treat them like friends. And after 21, Maula says, now you can't change whatever they've become. If they become your masters, your friends, or your servants, they've become that. So you can't change it. But after 14, you see, once, for example, we become strict, we can't become friends again. So that we have to try and change. So I have to try and differentiate because my children are at all different ages. So I have to make sure that 14 plus are now friends and under 14 are now servants and under 7 are still, masters. And that becomes very difficult to pay for the children.
We got a question for you.
There's a question saying, what if I'm 10 years old and I don't want to do my schoolwork and my parents get upset with me from Zulfikar? Is this a sin?
We broke Maulana.
No, Wi-Fi.
No, but we did break Maulana.
Hold on.
Did he just get kicked? No, he's there.
Maulana Saab's unmuted.
Wait, no,
Yeah,
is
he is.
muted.
He-
Now I am.
You're back again.
Okay. I didn't hear the question.
Okay. What if I'm 10 years old and I don't want to do my schoolwork and my parents get upset with me? Is this a sin? From Zulfikar.
It may not be a sin, but it is still disobedient because you're still not baligh, but you have to try and please your parents because then you will have more success.
But
What about if you're baligh? Then is it a sin?
on Google,
Yes, then it is a sin.
on Google, it says that homework is technically illegal. And it's slavery, technically.
Should you listen to your parents or shake Google that they keep liking? They like to follow Google.
Well, Auntie Google is not mustanad, she is not authentic.
I don't love Google.
Yeah. Well, I call her Auntie Google. I don't think she's authentic. She tells lies at times.
Good point.
And many times, she tells you un-Islamic things. So I would rather listen to my mom and dad. Even at this age, I'm now in my 40s and my dad's, in his 80s and my mom's in her 70s. I still listen to them.
Good.
Good.
Any more questions for Maulana?
No.
No. I think we don't have any more questions on the chat and we don't have any questions in the room. So can we all say thank you to Maulana?
Thank you, Maulana Saab.
Thank you all.
Can you say Khuda Hafiz to Maulana?
Khuda Hafiz.
And for everybody else, there's the next lecture will be in 2 weeks time, and I'll just get out what the topic will be. Bear with me a second. There we go. So the next lecture will be on Saturday, the 1st of August with Maulana Sayyid Farazdak Razvi, and it will be on the divine message. And so we'll see you again in 2 weeks' time. Good afternoon, everyone. Stay safe, stay home.
Bye.
Stay safe.